It's the Blue Room. It is Blue Monday. I'm Matt Jones. Joining me as ever is Dave Downey, and we are here to start your week off with some Everton chat. And why not at the moment? The Blues flying in the league, 5 home wins in a row, no goals conceded, 40 points without the deduction. We'll be mid-table otherwise. Dave, how are you? Did you enjoy your Sunday after a lovely day on Saturday outside the Denby, wasn't it? Everyone outside having a bevy. Weather was glorious. It was class.
Absolutely, yeah. It was it made me start thinking, when we were doing post match and ever since that, when you just watch over the games of the weekend and things, it made me sort of sit there and think, what were we ever worried about with all this? Do you know what I mean? And if you come back from not being on this planet and saw that Everton have 40 points and comfortably stayed in the Premier League, it'd be like that, that's probably a standard Everton season, given the sort of standard of players they've got and the manager they've got. That's pretty much par for Everton. The fact that we've been through everything that we have, looking like we potentially could go down, point deductions and all that sort of thing. I mean, I think the book that's just come out there, the Machiri years, which if anybody's not heard it, go and have a listen to the 2 episodes I did. And you think about that and think that the context of how Everton have become over the years. This feels this feels like a relatively normal season since Farhad Moshiri has been Everton's owner, and yet it's been absolute chaos, hasn't it? When we've had to go deep into the scenes that have happened since then.
Yeah, it's mad. And like, if you go back to the start of the season, I think if someone had said we'll get 40 points, just without factoring in any kind of points deduction madness or the context around that, you probably would have taken that, wouldn't you? Just as a benchmark for us staying up, because that obviously does guarantee safety. And
Yeah,
I was thinking about this morning because I've been doing these shows throughout the season now, and one of the things that you've said often on it in the build up to the last couple of months is that you always thought it was going to come down to those 5 home games, and you'd rattle them off, and you'd say, well, maybe not Liverpool, don't take that one into account, but the other four, you're sort of saying, well, we need to get you know 9 points from those four, or 10
yeah.
points from those four. And I think to take 15, like 15 points from 15 points from those 5 games, um, is quite remarkable, really, and maybe something that now we're on the other side of it, we can dwell on a little bit, because you think about obviously going into that Burnley game, which was an awful game, and we managed to get over the line through a jammy goal. That was probably the worst of all 5 home performances recently that we've won. But the pressure was massive going into that. Obviously, we hadn't won for months and months. And then the other side of that, we have the Chelsea 6-0, and we've got the three in quick succession coming after that. So I think it's amazing, really, that when you consider the point the players were at, how low they would have been after not winning for 13 games, how low they would have been after getting that win and getting absolutely annihilated by Chelsea. Um, to sort of pull it all together from the managers and the players' point of view, when the pressure's on, when we're up against teams this season as well, let's not forget that have come to Goodison Park and we've really struggled to get the better of.
Mm.
Stylistically, not really suited us. Um, they managed to find a way. They managed to tweak some things and get over the line and really deliver under the pressure, I suppose, which is not something that we've been totally great at in recent years.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think when we watched them at so many parts this season, look, the now infamous one win in 15 games, which is worse than Frank Lampard when he got sacked, and the pressure on Sean Dyche, the hatred I think towards Sean Dyche, particularly after the 6-0 as well, Matt.
I think hatred's too strong. I don't.
I think with many fans, I think they've. You look, many people take it too far, as we know. I put on my social media yesterday. I think we should keep Andre Gomez. I got 400 odd people liking that, and then I got some serious abuse for saying that we shouldn't be keeping them, given the money we have to pay for them and whatnot. I think that's sort of it. It's akin to what you see on social media. So obviously strong between what we're talking about now, but there were definitely a lot of fans who didn't want him there after that 6-0. Um, and I think the funny thing about all this is if I actually think if we had a board that we've had in the past, you go back a year, you go back 18 months, whilst the ones were all there before we had the chaos with, Barrett Baxendale and all that sort of thing happening. I actually think that, in that sort of the way things were, I actually think that Sean Dyche might well have been sacked after that game, and Everton were looking for somebody else. So, and I think it's really interesting when you look at that story and the narrative that we've had since then. And maintaining with him, because let's face it, how many times have we joked with many people on the Blue Room and fans that we know ourselves that there's nobody to sack him anyway. The fact that that wasn't the case has actually worked in Everton's favour and his favour. That's not to say that he has done an amazing job to keep these lads focused, in the right frame of mind, able to go and do what they did and stay up. Not only stay up, but thrive towards the end of the season. Goodison became the Goodison we know. And you think back to the record we have. I think we'd only won 2 or 3 at home at Goodison, before the run of 5 wins on the spin. Um, they were a real concern. I mean, I remember after that famous 4 wins in a row that we had, pre-Christmas, wasn't it? When we're talking about that, we were like, Everton need to play away. We have to play away, given the Goodison become quite toxic, as we know it can be when we're not playing well or we're not getting results. Away from home sort of lifted the burden a little bit on a lot of the players that we've got, but to galvanise them. And I'd like to know what, well, firstly yourself, but also behind the scenes, there was the sort of particularly clicking moment that this just changed. It felt to me that that 6-0, like after at Chelsea, I think I can imagine Dyche has gone in there and told them more than a few home truths to these players. Um, and getting a reaction from them, getting an attitude from them, I don't know what it'd be, but maybe players looking to play for their future. And we're going to talk about various players that potentially leave or maybe stay over summer and into next season. You look at a player you just mentioned before we went on air there about Jack Harrison, who's he's hammered it. You can't fault that lad for how much effort he's put in. But to then find a tiny bit of quality, something that actually works, these lads actually putting themselves together, um, camaraderie, things like that. I'd like to think, although we don't know, I'd like to think that they were the sort of things that Dyche was able to squeeze out of these players. And that's ultimately what happened with those home games. Goodison completely turned around. Atmosphere's been phenomenal there again. Um, and it does beg that question, as we have done every season, Matt. Like, where was that? Where's that been since the start of the season? Because regardless of deduction of points, we'd have been a comfortable mid-table side before we even, worried that we could go down to the Championship.
Yeah, I think ultimately though, like we're not good enough to just do that consistently, are we? That's the
True.
squad's
Yeah.
not good enough. So I think this season's been weird, hasn't it? 'Cause we had a bad start, good. So you probably divide it into quarters, couldn't you? Like the first quarter was bad, the second quarter was really good, the third quarter was bad, the fourth quarter has been really good. Like it's gone
Mhm.
like that, hasn't it, all year?
Do you think that it puts against, like, and again, I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I think you said, how many points could have kept you safe this season?
I think
Did you
well,
say
it could be 28, I think.
20? Obviously, you got to
Yeah.
finish next week. Yeah, 28 could have kept you safe. And that's where, like, how fickle football is. Like, well, why did Everton ever moan? Because, yeah, I remember, like, a lot of the Liverpool fans who are friends of mine saying that, oh, Everton will never go down. They'll never go down. A lot of our fans say there's no chance we'll get relegated. No chance. In these last 3 years, I've been so fearful that Everton will eventually get caught. You can't keep doing it, and I know we'll go over that sort of thing that we say, we're never again, never again, never again. And there's probably, where you work at the Echo, there's probably about 15 different copies of that saying never again, never again, like we all do. Um, the situation we're in right now, obviously, that there's something that we'll discuss over the summer, the way in which that'll work out. But um, you get to a point where at some point you'll get caught. I just think it's inevitable that you get caught, and I honestly thought it was going to be this season. And it goes back to what people said pre-season, Matt, that these are the worst 3 sides that ended up coming up from the Championship, and lo and behold, we're sitting here now, and they're the 3 sides that are actually going down. Which again, if you had none of the narrative, if you didn't know, if you only just woke up from being in a coma since the start of the season, you'd look at that and think, what are the concerns about every other side apart from those three going down? Um, but that can't be taken away, and I think it would be by certain fans who don't want Sean Dyche to carry on, which I'd like to think would be, not a high percentage of fans want him to actually go at this point because he's earned it. Um, but they would say the first thing they go to, the first thing they refer to in regards to Sean Dyche doing an average slash bad job would be the fact that those 3 sides in the relegation zone. it's come to pass that they're going down with relatively small amount of points. So yeah, I think right now it's a time for us all to sort of sit back and have a really deep look at how this season's gone, what he's done to change it, and it's hard not to sit here and think that those 5 games that we've gone and won, um, it's easy to forget what happened before that. You said in 4 quarters there. I think that's spot on about to look at things, and um, the problem with that, I think it's really easy for fans to say, wow, like I said at the start, they've won 1 game in 15. It's easy for somebody to sit here and say you've got to sack him. You've got to sack him. It was a and I banged on about it. Worst record in Lampard. You've got to get rid of him. You've got to get rid of him. Me and Mosey. What game was it after the last one we lost? After no, it wasn't. I can't remember which game it was. Several weeks ago, where he was saying, "Look, I think we've got to get rid of him in the summer." I'd love to see changes, not verbatim what he said, but he's sick of watching Everton, the way in which we play under Sean Dyche. The fact you're able to discuss that without any concern around it is really, really interesting now.
Yeah, but it's mad, isn't it? 'Cause, like that was only 4 weeks ago, but so much
Yeah,
has
yeah.
changed since then. Like, I, I totally get why people have gone back and forth on this issue a lot this year because the season has been a back and forth season, hasn't it? Like we said, like we have gone spells. We've got a record long time without winning a football match in the Premier League, but then we've got on record run. Like it's the same, really. Like you think this season we've had our record winless run in the Premier League, and then I think these home games at Goodison is like our best run at Goodison in terms of not conceding a goal and winning in a row. It's like the oscillations have been absolutely wild, haven't they? And I suppose that kind of goes along with the idea of this season being one that's been one of high emotions and momentum swings. And I think that's something that Dyche probably tries to avoid, but it's probably been impossible to this year. Like it has been an emotional year for everybody. We have
Mm.
had really big lows. We have had times where everyone's been on an emotional high, and we've had to come together and be galvanized in a way like never before because the circumstances have been like never before. But I think for me, what the last few weeks and why they're really important is that again, and I know you were sort of saying this after the game a little bit at the weekend, um, but I think now the manager's shown that on a couple of occasions now that when things are bad, he can turn it round, and I think that's important for context going forward. And like I know you were sort of half joking when you were saying if we start off badly next season, then there'll be shouts for Moyes and all that kind of stuff. But I just wondered the last few weeks, and having done it twice this year, with us being in the doldrums and him being able to turn it around and steer us through that storm, that's in his favour. He's done it a couple of times now. Well, Les Roberts joins us as well. Mate, how you doing? You having a good Monday morning?
I'm all right, actually. Yeah, yeah. Been up early, been
What
in the
top
gym,
have you got on there, by the way?
feeling okay. Venezia top, because I'm a proper hipster like that.
Yeah, you are, mate. That's
Finished
it.
third in Serie B. All right, not bad.
Yeah.
So, mate,
Um,
that's the definition of you. That top, isn't it? You don't even have to say anything. May just take a photo of that and like, yeah, we've had Les on this morning. Just
Lovely.
going back to before Les answered that question, Matt, about Dyche there, and I still stand by. I think if you go first 10 games next season, I think if Everton and he win 1 or 2 of them, I think the serious issues of people calling for his head. There's still issues over the summer of people not wanting him as our manager, given the style of play, and I think that's automatically what people refer to as, you're paying a lot of money to go and watch Everton at Goodison. Always bang on about that old man who was sitting next to me who got off at half time when we're 1-0 up against Brighton, saying, I'm not watching this, given the way Everton play. And I get where they come from a little bit because, they've seen Everton at their best. Like, I'm interested to get Les' view on that. But the thing that I think it's easy to exaggerate, and I don't want to take it away from him, even though it sounds as if I am. It's easy to exaggerate that 5 games, isn't it? And just say, wow, what a job Sean Dyche has done there. There's 33 that's at the moment, 32 games that have gone beforehand there where we wouldn't say these things that happened with Sean Dyche. So I would be interested, obviously yourself, that sort of context that we've got in which we've stayed up now comfortably. Do you not look back and think we can't dismiss the way in which things went before?
I think you've got to look at the season as a whole now. Like, and I think people listen to us will know we've both been critical of him, but I think you look at it overall, and you've got to say he's done an excellent job, like a truly excellent job. Like for that Everton team to have potentially accrued 48 points in real terms is quite staggering, and it's turned around quickly because we've won a load of games in the last few weeks. But 48 points for that squad, given the circumstances this year, is some going. Let's bring you in now. Maybe just not really been talking about anything in particular so far. Just sort of general after the weekend. But how are you feeling about the state of play after our fifth win in a row, our conceding at Goodison?
Yeah, I think is that the best one since 2013 or something.
Yeah,
And like, to not concede a goal in any of those games as well was pretty phenomenal, to use another manager's parlance there. Yeah, I agree, Matt. I think you have got to look at the season as a whole, and the form has been patchy, to be kind. We sort of won in like two main groups of games there. We've had those 5 home games there, and there's the 4 on the bounce in December, which, when we were in the middle of that winless run, seemed like it was never going to turn around again. I think there's been a few times this season where we've looked doomed. Start of the season wasn't quite the same. I think there was a little bit of optimism because we had that period where, all right, we're creating chances. This won't carry on. We'll start scoring some and we'll be fine. Never really panned out like that. But I think, as you say, if you look at the job he's done over the whole season to pick up that many points and be what, in real terms, behind Brighton on goal difference, and people sort of stand Brighton up as like a shining example of what a Premier League club should be run like. De Zerbi was sort of linked with the Liverpool job earlier in the season when Klopp said he was leaving. So, you can't really argue with the job he's done. People can argue with the football that we play, but then for me, and I've always said this, I don't really care how we play. When we're not winning or when we're not picking up results, then it becomes an issue for me because you're not getting anything and there's no sort of hope there. If you're playing crap and you're losing, or you're playing crap and you're squeaking out the odd draw here and there, like in that 15-game run, then it becomes an issue because you think, well, okay, where are we going? If you're playing well and getting beat, and you're playing well, or you're getting, you're getting the odd draw, you can see maybe, okay, this is where we're going. But I think when you're playing football that gets results like it has done the last 5 games, I don't see how anyone could have left Goodison Park anything but happy in any of those 5 games. As we said, against Forest, it was comfortable. Brentford, comfortable. Different to Forest, but came after the derby. So it was always going to be a bit of a, it was never going to be at those levels. And yeah, for me, I don't see any reason to sort of say he's got to go. I think he's got to stay because he has done an incredible job. When you look at the state of the team and the fact that I had a 10-point deduction hanging over it for 3 months, it has been an incredible job. I think whether you like him or not, he's done really well to get us in that position.
Yeah, I know we're talking about it, but I don't even think it's a discussion point now. Like he stays. He's more than earned it.
It's sorry, just quickly as well. It's not even. It can't even call it recency bias. There might be a little bit of that because, as you say, it was that last run has been incredible, really. But if you take the season as a whole, I think in that sort of little mini league of teams who sort of flared to good relegation, we're top of that. So, if you beat the teams you're immediately competing with, you'll be all right. Then if you can start beating the teams just above, so basically the fodder in the league of which we are part of, if you get more results against those teams than not, you're probably going to be looking at pushing for Europe. Look at Chelsea. They seem to have lost every game all season. And now they're suddenly, in with a sniff of Europe. It's not a difficult league up to a point, I don't think.
Does that not reflect how, yeah, you've like you just said there in a bit of a nutshell, Les, how poor this league is.
Yeah.
But the other side of this, and people will be listening to this thinking it's typical of what I say, really, because I've always been this sort of negative Evertonian for many years. The reason we've stayed up is ultimately because it's crap, and we're pretty much in that category. Because the underlying condition for me has been Goodison. I think that's pretty obvious, given that we went and won 5 at home. The issue against Dyche was always pre that. I mean, it's bit of a lot that I've been talking to Matt about since you came in there, Les. It is about deducting those 5 games, trying to get trying to get an idea of what the feeling was towards Dyche after that 6-0 defeat at Chelsea. And look, football fans are fickle. But even if we'd won, I don't know, say 3 out of those 5, 2 out of those 5 things that we spoke about, how many points would you take? You know, you'd be buzzing if we got 7 points, really. We've ultimately gone and stayed up quite comfortably now. That, playing that sort of devil's advocate, really, I don't think we'd be sat here talking so overly comfortable with Sean Dyche still having his job. Because lest we forget,
But
after that
he has won, like, you know, he
I know
has
he's
won,
gone and done it.
He's won 5 games in a row.
Well,
Like,
I know we've gone and done it,
we'd
Matt.
won
But it's
2 of them, things would have been
Just-
different. Then.
Sorry,
no, but that's what I'm saying. No, it's at such a knife edge that, you know,
taking 3 wins off isn't a knife edge, though, is it? Like that's
well, yeah, it
9.
is. For,
That's
for
9
him it
points.
is.
I think
That's
No,
like,
for him it is though. Go on,
one more bit
sorry.
of context to it is that for ages our home form has been a massive problem. Like
Exactly.
last season, like Everton is set up to play better away from home, and our results showed that. And you know, the last 5 we won 5 home games on the bounce and not conceded a single goal. So that, you know, I think as Matt said, he showed he can turn it around in a crisis situation. But to turn around that home form as well, either because we were pretty bad at home for a long time, and it was an issue, wasn't it?
I think you can't discount how low that got. And again, go back to the run of form we had, which was worse than Frank Lampard, who we were calling for his head, say halfway through that before the double that we had against Bournemouth when he eventually lost that job. I don't think that can be thrown out of hand. I'm not sitting here and saying that he shouldn't keep his job. Far from it. He's deserved it. Everton have been brilliant in the last few games. But the difference that Everton have been since the lowest they actually were, yes, it gives them credit, but you can't disregard that because it feels that it's really easy for that to happen again. And like Matt saying there, I look like a bit of an idiot saying if we only won 3 games that we'd still have 9 points and still finish comfortably. But I'm saying things where I'm not emphasising what I'm actually trying to say with this because I feel that, and I go back to what I said to Matt there, and I'll be dismissed by many people listening to this, but it wouldn't take much at the start of next season for people to call for Sean Dyche's head. That's the situation we're in, and lest we forget, like you've said there, the way in which we play has been a massive issue. Again, I refer back to the chat we had with Mose and after games we play, and he's like, you know what, we're entitled as Evertonians to want to see decent football. I think when you know the priority staying in the Premier League, obviously that is well further down the list we have as fans. But now we're safe. We go into there last year at Goodison. The context of everything we've got before we go to the new stadium is more intense than it's ever been here. And I'm not sure that Sean Dyche is going to be sitting there and we're all going to be like that. We'll have this same level of momentum. How many times we finished seasons in the past, forget the last 3, where Everton have had real momentum? We started winning games that don't really matter because we finished mid-table or whatever. Now it's been the opposite, given the amount of games that we've gone and won. I just can't get out of my mind the situation we were in, and he's turned it round. The way in which he has done, you know, we don't know how that's going to happen. We could sit here, you know, guessing what the way in which was the turning point. Me and Matt sort of hinted at it before. You know, and the other side, lest we forget, is the actual players and the squad of players that we've got there. I mean, how many times have we sat there post-match and in this show saying he's rubbish, he's rubbish, he's rubbish, he's not doing enough. He's not good enough. He's not a Premier League player. We've done that like a typical gang of fans there, referring to the way in which the performance have been. That's the other side of this coin, because then it obviously emphasises the job he's done by thinking that he's got a crap squad there, and he's basically got the best out of them and got 5 wins on the spin at Goodison. That's the other side of it. That I think that's where a more considerable argument is to just simply say, well, we've won 5 on the spin. Sean Dyche is a legendary Everton manager.
I would never put him in that category, like, but
do you know what I mean? No, and I'm emphasising it. Do you get what I mean?
I just think, right, if we look at his sort of tenure as a whole from when he joined, he's done his best work when we have been absolutely on our arse. So when he came in and replaced Lampard, I think most of us were saying we're gone here, we're done. Because the team looked completely spent. I think we've just been beaten by bottom place Wolves, then Southampton.
Yeah,
Everyone
the
was
whole
bottom.
Southampton fallout, like that was like proper crisis
Yeah,
stuff, wasn't it? Like
But
yeah.
people were
the
fuming when
headlock.
we got him in. People were seething when we got him in.
But
I don't think
but
they were.
the overriding point with this is he's done his best work when the club has really been in trouble and it's like crisis mode, and he's done it twice this season as well. So maybe he is a crisis manager. Maybe that's as good as it gets with him. But I
Yeah,
think for the time being, that's exactly where the club is.
that's what you need. Yeah,
So, until we can level off, and then if and when that does happen, then you get the sort of the Tony Pulis issue at Stoke, whereby you've hit a level that you're comfortable with, and you think, okay, we'll make the next step up, and then the arse falls out completely because it doesn't work. David Moyes to Roberto Martinez kind of thing. We had that good season, but then the arse fell out of it because I don't care what anyone says. Finishing 11th twice with that team, on I think about 48 points, wasn't it? With that team was massively underachieving, and I can't help feeling without Lukaku, that team would have got relegated because he was hopeless. Anyway, that's another issue. But I just think for where the club is at the minute, he is a good fit as manager because he can manage in a crisis, and he's shown that. And I can't see us coming out of this crisis anytime soon. So I don't know. For me, that just seems like, yeah, that's where he fits.
Yeah,
no,
in
that's
real,
certainly that. Yeah, sorry, mate, go on.
that's because in real terms of what points we've got this season, he's got more than Martinez has in 2 of his 3 seasons in charge. Like, and
That's nuts.
you think about the team that Martinez had, like Lukaku, Barkley,
Yeah,
Barry, McCarthy, Stones,
Shaggy Alka
Jags,
Baines.
Baines,
I'm still not.
Coleman.
I'm
Like,
still not. Go on.
people might be sitting here listening to me going, "God, you're such a hypocrite," because earlier in the season you were saying get rid of him, but I don't I put a lot of stock in the fact that he's been able to turn it around twice now this year. Like slow start, bad circumstances, got us on a good run, got us up the table. Bad start to the year, obviously, turned it round. Amazing finish to the season. Like I think that's important. And listen, it's easy sitting here now when it is the end of the season. We're safe. The sun is shining. We haven't really got to think about us playing football or being bad at football. We don't know what the summer's going to hold. We don't know what our squad's going to be like when the season kicks off. Granted, but I do put a lot of stock in the fact that he's been able to pull us out of issues more than once now, and I do hope. And I'm speaking for myself here, not everyone. Like I do
Yeah,
hope that if things do start badly next season, and there's no guarantee they will. We might last season at Goodison, the atmosphere might be boss. We might ride a bit of a wave of emotion and momentum, and we might start off well. But if things do start badly, I'd like to think that I'll be able to, and again, it's hard when you're not in it, when you're losing games you're drawing games and you haven't won for months. I'd like to be able to think that I can sit there and go, well, this fella's got a proven track record of doing this. We've been here before, and he's turned it around. And listen, I think the same would be true. Say if Everton decided to sack Sean Dyche today, and he went and got David Moyes, and Moyes didn't win in his first 10 games, people would be calling for him to go as well. It'd be exactly the same. So. Again, I don't really know. It's mad that we're talking about it, to be honest, because I think he's done a great job this year as far as I'm concerned.
I'm not denying that he's not done a great job. Sorry, I'm not denying that he's done a great job. All I'm saying is that it wouldn't take much for us to go back to the way in which we were and not wanting him as Everton manager, and I think that's so easily going to happen, Matt, and that's when I'm emphasising on the team that he's going to have and the squad he's going to have there, and then that's when I'm going around in circles here, but that's where you do think that he's done an amazing job when you've got the squad that he's actually got, but people will be demanding more of what Sean Dyche can actually do. You go and get what we actually did there. The clean sheets. It's almost a stereotype of what Dyche did to keep Burnley up in the Premier League for so many seasons, in which he did. You'll immediately get Everton fans wanting more from him. I'm pretty much saying that here, and I saying that we never again sort of cliche that we bang on about. Look what they've gone and done. Why can't they do that again? That's immediately what fans will be referring to when we get to the new season, regardless of what that squad is. And the Moyes thing's a factor. I think the fact that David Moyes hasn't got a job, you will get, I think, quite a few fans there thinking that you've got to go and get him if we started off with an absolute stinker next season.
The thing for me is, I think any team that's successful, and talking relative success here, so Everton have been successful this season because not only have they stayed up quite comfortably, they've improved on last season. That's all you've got to do each season, just improve on the last one. So to be successful, you basically got to start with a good defence. And let's not forget that's what David Moyes did as well. Some of the stuff in those first few years wasn't great. He built some really good teams that played some really nice stuff, but it was all built on a defensive foundation. When Martinez came in and got his methods in, that's when it fell apart because he just didn't concentrate on the defense. He admitted that himself. So I think that's the starting point for any team, and we're gonna have to have that. We're gonna have to put up with that. But my thing is the position we're in, we can't. I know it's a bit of a cliche for Everton fans because we've got this idea that our club is like massively relevant and huge, and it is to us, but it's not to anyone else. And I think we need to kind of get past that a little bit and look at where we are, and it's not going to turn around quickly, And it's all right for us as fans to flip flop on what we want from players and managers. That we're fans, we turn up the game, and that's what we do. We change opinions. We talk to our mates, they give us another opinion, we take that on. We do change. This is where you need a strong person running a club who knows what they're doing, who doesn't listen to the fans all the time, pull the trigger at the wrong time. Because that inevitably would have happened if we'd have had a sort of semi-stable club and someone actually running it during that 15-game run, particularly after Chelsea. And I would have been on board with this, to be honest, at the time. And that's why I should never take any notice of me for the start. If we'd have had someone running the club who was sort of confident and had a vested interest in thinking, God, we're going to have to do something here, he'd have got sacked. I think we were quite lucky that there was no one to do it. And he stayed on and he did turn it around to his credit. So I think it's fine for us to call for a manager's head after a bad run of games because we see stuff and we see this isn't good enough. We don't like this. But if you're running a club, you've got to see a bigger picture. You've got to sort of, I don't know, have the conviction of your decisions to sort of say, no, look, I got this fella in to do this job and he is doing this job and he will see it out. The only bit of praise I can ever give Philip Carter is that he didn't sack Howard Kendall. Whether that was by luck or design, he stood by Kendall when the easiest thing would have been to sack him and get someone else in, and he didn't. And it was the catalyst for three great years at least. Now, I'm not saying you keep Moist. I said Moist then. You keep Dyche.
That's going to happen. That's right.
It's not going to happen like that. It doesn't happen like that anymore. But that's the next thing we need. We need someone competent running the club. We need people who know what they're doing. And then maybe we can move on. Until then, I don't even think the manager should be a conversation.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say is he's got so much credit in the bank now. Like a humongous amount. Like when you think of all the situations we spoke about off the pitch, not really having a board at all to work around him or support him. We'll leave that there anyway. One thing I did want to talk about, and I thought this was going to take up the bulk of the show, but obviously not. Reports over the weekend from one of my colleagues, actually Joe Thomas at the Echo, saying that Everton really want to keep Jack Harrison. He's really popular at Finch Farm. The manager obviously likes him. He's been pretty reliable in terms of fitness this season, albeit he's going to miss the last couple of games because of a hamstring problem. Obviously, Les, we all know the context of the summer in regards to our funds, all those sorts of things. But is he a player you'd like to see come back? And sure, obviously we're going to do our squad inventory again for midfielders either next week or the week after, and we can get together again. But just focusing on Harrison in particular, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because I think as much as he's been reliable, hard working, there are games where he does leave you pulling your hair out a little bit as well.
Yeah. He is a very frustrating player, isn't he? I'm not exactly sure what he's good at apart from staying fit and running around lots. Which, you know what? That might be exactly what Sean Dyche wants. So it's kind of up to him, isn't it? I think if it was me, I'd pass. I'm just not sure he's a Premier League player.
Even on loan again?
Yeah, maybe on loan. Maybe keep him. If loan's another option, say Leeds don't come up or something. If loan's another option, maybe, because the manager likes him, he fits into his system, and he is another body what could be in a really threadbare squad. So maybe on loan, but I don't think I'd sign him. And certainly, if we were signing him, nothing over 10 million, I reckon. But I'd probably pass, if I'm honest.
Dave, I feel like I know what you're going to say.
I think, when that saying is, you're scraping the barrel. I actually think he's below the barrel, to be honest with you. I wouldn't go near.
That's harsh. Come on.
No, it's
That
not
is
harsh, mate.
harsh.
Well, no, hang on. Look at what you said about James Garner.
I've never said he's below the barrel. I've just said
No,
he's
but
very overrated.
you were in a mood about him. Let's say that, which obviously when we do our midfield chat coming forward, that'll be quite deep when we go into these various players that we're going to debate about. But yeah, Jack Harrison's not a Premier League player. I think you have to go quite a considerable rejection from players that we're going to hopefully try and sign. Obviously with no money at the end of that. So look, we can probably go and have him again on loan, don't we? Even if we do sign a few players anyway, just for somebody who's in that squad there for a relatively cheap amount. But I just think he's crap, basically.
What you, Matt?
I'd have him back. Yeah, like I wouldn't. I think 10 million, like you said there, Les, is the most I would go.
You pay 10 million for him.
Yeah,
Seriously?
obviously we'd like Klarna it, wouldn't we? So it'd be like staggered over like 5 years.
5 in a week.
Yeah.
I tell you what, if we pay 30 for Beto, he's definitely worth 10.
Yeah, like he's just fine. I just think he's fine. Like, he does annoy you, and like I think he's the only player I've ever seen that when he tries to run faster, he goes slower. But like
that's fantastic, that mate.
he's
You need to take a clip of that for Twitter.
But listen. I think ultimately he's been a key player in a squad that has got 48 points this season. And like he's been part of the system. He works hard. He played a couple of different positions. The manager likes him. Like obviously based on Joe's piece, he's really well liked in the squad as well, and at Finch Farm. And ultimately, and I think we sort of spoke about this a little bit on post-match, Les, we haven't got any wingers. Dwight McNeil is going to be our only winger in the squad when Harrison and Danjuma go back. Like, whenever you think of Lewis Dobbin or not, like, I don't think the manager thinks he's good enough. I don't think we've seen enough of him really to make a decision. But if we can get him in through the door on loan again, or for a real knockdown fee, I just think it makes loads of sense. Like, he is not a great player. He's not going to score 10 to 15 goals a season, but does he fit the way we're going to play? Yeah, he does. Does the manager like him? Yeah, he does. Does the squad like him? Absolutely. And I think it's just one position and one area of the pitch you can just go, right, that's sorted. He will plug a gap there. And listen, I don't know if he's quite a Premier League player or not, but he's been part of a mid-table Premier League squad and played a lot of games for a mid-table squad. So I'd for the right fee, I think I'd have him back.
You two are ludicrous to think that you would pay money for that lad. For loan, fine. You would not go and spend when we can't piss in a pot. You can't say that you would spend money on that lad.
Thing
Surely.
is, though, as Matt said, it is a key position because we haven't got anyone. And you're not
Yeah,
going to
but
get anyone.
Is that what you'd make the answer? The answer to you
All
is
right.
you don't look elsewhere and then think,
No,
I'll
well, if
pay
all
10
right,
million that we haven't got.
if we've got 10 million to spend on a winger, right? I don't see how we get any better. Now, you could get
10 million
someone.
quid.
You get fuck all for
That's
10 million.
nothing now, is it? Like, yeah.
You could get someone who technically is a better. Let's say we could get Danjuma. We've not had him on loan this season. We've none of that caper. We could get Danjuma. Yeah, he looks a better player. He's in with the squad. The manager doesn't like him. It's a waste of 10 million. The flip side of that is you get a player like Jack Harrison who does fit in with the squad. The manager likes him, but he's not as good. So you could say that's a waste of 10 million. But I'd sooner have a player who can do a job and fits in with the squad than a player who's technically really good, but just does not fit in and just won't get a game. It's a tricky one when you got no money to spend, but you don't get much for 10 million.
Imagine we had 10 million to spend as well. I'm sort of getting at.
I mean, there is that point as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And that is why again, the way maybe you're right, I've emphasised there of how crap I think he actually is because he's lower than the bottom of a battle. But yeah, I mean, I'd take him for, I'd pay a minimum wage to be alone. I mean, that is what my feeling is towards him. And I think that if you look wider than that, surely Everton, surely Thelwell, who seems to be getting a lot more credit, which I don't really understand why that is, given the fact that he went and spent 30 million for Beto. The jury's very much out on him as a director of football. you've got to look elsewhere. And the Championship, how much do you look at these little gems that are in and out there? There's no way I would consider a loan, let alone this magic 10 million that we've all decided we've got now.
Yeah, it
And I
just
see Matt as seed in there.
no, sorry, me internet connection went a bit funny then, so I missed a bit of what you were missed a bit of what you were saying, but it just I'm not saying like Kevin Felwell's going to have Jack Harrison's picture up on his war room, and it'll be Jack Harrison or nobody like to sign. Like it you know, do look at other options. Don't just focus solely on him. It's not Harrison or nobody, is it? But I think for getting back on loan is the ideal situation, wouldn't it? I think if Leeds don't come up and you can say to them, listen, he's clearly on wages you don't want to pay. You're going in a different direction with your squad. They've actually got quite a few good attacking players, haven't they, as well, like Somerville and
Yeah.
Yonto. Like it doesn't really seem to fit them. If you can get him back again, he seems happy. I think it makes a load of sense. And listen, if he comes in or not, we're
I
still going to have to try
reluctantly
and
agree with that. Then I'll reluctantly.
if
Sorry,
whether
mate.
he
I
comes
just
in,
yeah.
whether he comes in or not, we're going to have to sign two more wingers or two more players who can play wide regardless. Otherwise, if Harrison comes in, our backup wide players are still Lewis Dobbin and Ashley Young. Like, and that's if Young stays as well. So there's lots of work to do there. And I just think if it's an easy deal we can get done, I'd be happy to get it done. But yeah, we will wait and see on that. Yeah, we'll wrap it up there a bit longer than normal Blue Monday. Today. Coming up this week, we'll have subs weekly. We will have weekly. We'll have mailbag. We'll have a weekend preview. Where Everton are going to be involved in the final day of the title race. Anyone fancy just get a draw at Arsenal and just ruin everything? It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
No. It'd be
Jack
lovely.
Harrison,
It'd be the dream, that.
Jack Harrison's going to
I
score.
sort of want Spurs to beat City just so we can be that team that could just be dead annoying on the last day and not.
Do you know what I think's interesting about this? If City go and win there, this is going to be the most irrelevant final day of the season. Surely, is there anything at all to play for apart from a
It's the race for eighth or something.
Europa conference position? That is the only thing that I can see that is any sort of interest whatsoever. Because Luton and Forest have got about 20 goal difference sorted out, haven't they? Can you imagine there's anything else? Can you see that there's anything else to play for on the
It'll
final
go to
day?
the last day, won't it? The title race, regardless, like what happens. But I think if City win tomorrow night, then I think they'd have to lose, wouldn't they? And Arsenal would have to win on the last day. So it's it wouldn't be much.
West Ham at all.
Yeah.
As well, who's just about to let Moyes go. He's going to wave goodbye. It's over anyway. Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to go to Arsenal and put out a bit of a show and get that 10 million out when Jack Harrison either assists or scores a goal. But that's
But he's injured, isn't he, Dave? So you might have seen the last of him.
That's why you don't get him, Matt. There you go. He's injury pro. Do you know what I mean? Can't have him. Can't have him. And where's this 10 million coming from, lads?
There you go. Dave wants Dyche sacked. He doesn't want to sign any players. We'll have nobody there.
I want Moyes back.
Wait for the YouTube comments, Dave.
Yeah. I want Moyes back.
We'll rock up on Finch Farm at the opening day of the season. Nobody will be there. Like, who's taking training, lads?
Jack Harrison jogging around for me with
player manager. Right. Yeah. But yeah, as Les said, do let us know what you think about that. Do leave a comment. Tell us why Dave is wrong about all those things. Do like and subscribe as well. Hit the little button there with the little bell button. That gives you any notifications when we do go live on YouTube or we do put shows out. Like I said, we're back with loads of stuff later this week, building up to that last weekend of the season and beyond. But cheers to Dave, cheers to Les. That's been Blue Monday. Up the toffees. I'll speak to you again soon.